Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for coming to watch. So I've got an update for you guys on this massive severe weather outbreak that is expected to take place today across the Mid-Atlantic, the interior portions of the Northeast, and then maybe even parts of the Southeast. So we have a huge area that's going to be under the gun for severe weather as for today. And we're already up to a moderate risk for severe weather based on the SPC, which is a level 4 out of 5 risk. So what that tells you is that severe weather is expected for any area that is in the middle of the moderate risk. And so we're going to be breaking down all of these areas, pretty much all these areas you see on the map, and we're just going to be talking about kind of what are the details going to be on these storms that are going to be impacting you guys. So, to start out looking at the radar, I don't know why this isn't playing, but you can see that we've got developing storms off to the west. You can see out here in Tennessee around the Knoxville area. You do have some developing thunderstorms. Those are going to be those thunderstorms that are going to be producing damaging wind gusts. So it's really up to these storms out here in Tennessee, just west of Huntsville, just northwest of Knoxville. Those are going to be the storms that are going to be producing damaging wind gusts. Now, the damaging wind gust producers for areas farther north, like Pennsylvania, New Jersey, maybe parts of northern Maryland. It's this area of storms that has been charging their way through southern Ohio and parts of northeastern Kentucky. So we're going to have to, watch out for pretty much all these storms, but especially this one. I meant northwest of Knoxville and parts of Tennessee, and then obviously these ones up here in southern Ohio and northeastern Kentucky. So, we're going to continue watching those storms and continue tracking them, but for now, we're going to be moving on to our alerts. And you can see that what we've got going on is we've got two main alerts right now. We've got our tornado watch right now. This that is up for a pretty big area up here. I believe this is for pretty much the entire general area of that 15% risk of tornadoes today. This goes all the way from the southern Ohio, just around the Columbus area, right here in central Ohio. That goes down into parts of West Virginia. Almost the entire state of West Virginia is under a tornado watch for today. I believe that this expires at 2 p.m. Eastern time. So I think it's 2 p.m. or 6 p.m. Eastern time. So when that does expire, I think we're definitely going to see another tornado watch that's going to be issued. I think that's probably going to be in an area that's going to look somewhat like this. I think this is where we're going to have that secondary tornado watch. I think it's going to include areas a little bit farther north this time, including Philadelphia, our nation's capital, Baltimore, and parts of southern New Jersey. That's also going to include areas a little bit closer to the coastline, like the coastal regions of the Delmarva area, the coastal regions of North Carolina and Virginia. So, I think you guys will definitely be under some sort of tornado watch for today. I would say that'd probably be around 4, 5, 6 p.m., a possible time frame for when that's going to be issued, and I think that's going to probably expire at around 11. But it hasn't been issued yet, but it's pretty much guaranteed to be issued after this first one does expire. This also does stretch into parts of eastern Tennessee, so you guys in eastern Tennessee, watch out for some of those rotating thunderstorms early. Those are the ones I'm talking about near Knoxville. Those are rotating, and we do see already some severe thunderstorm warnings out here for a few counties in northern Tennessee. So I think we're probably going to see the severe thunderstorm watch if it's not issued already. I'm not sure why this hasn't been issued, but I think in just a few minutes we're going to see a pretty massive area have issued a severe thunderstorm watch in just a matter of minutes, I would say. But yeah, you just got to be ready for whatever is going to happen today. So we're going to be moving on to the NAM 3KM model for the Mid-Atlantic. And we're just going to be taking a look at kind of where and how strong these storms are going to be. We know that, this entire region is going to get hit by some very, very hard and intense storms, but we have to figure out, how exactly strong each storm is going to be and where exactly they're going to be. So starting out, you could see that we're looking at the composite reflectivity based off of I believe this is the NAM 3KM model, and we're just going to be looking at how strong each storm is going to be. Again, we want to know where, which area is going to be hit exactly the hardest by these storms. So starting out where we are right now, this was about what the picture was this morning. We've got some strong to severe thunderstorms moving their way through eastern PA, parts of upstate New York, maybe the Finger Lakes region. You guys just south of there, you guys could get a pretty strong storm. These have been approaching northern New Jersey, maybe even parts of southern New York State, including Long Island and New York City. So watch out for these storms a little bit later. I know there's a few of these out here that look a little bit concerning to me, but overall, I think that this won't be too bad. I think this is pretty much what's going to be driving that the slight and marginal risk for severe weather today. And you don't really see any of these developing storms show up on the NAM. The NAM really is having trouble picking this up, and we'll see whenever it does. But yeah, you can see that this line of storms makes its way all the way into northern New Jersey. So now you guys are going to get in on some of that rainfall. I think this hour right here, this would be around. I guess this would be right now. This would be pretty much where we are right now, or I would think in an hour or so. This would be what the picture this would be the picture that we're going to be dealing with. I think we're going to have a pretty nasty line of damaging wind gusts that could really get going as we get into the afternoon hours of today. It's just a matter of how long how long the storm can last, and how much time it can hold on with the strength that it has. But I really think that you guys could get some sort of damaging wind gusts anywhere within this line of storms. I think behind it, you may have some more. You could see behind it, you may have some more convection left over, and that could also start up some more storms that could also produce maybe a secondary line of damaging wind gusts for you guys in the Northeast. And then you can see this runs right through New Jersey, not quite southern New Jersey, but it does go through New York City and Long Island, delivering some pretty intense storms. So I would say, anywhere around 4 p.m., 4 o'clock today, I think you could get a pretty strong to severe storm out here in southern New England, especially southwestern Connecticut, parts of southern New York State, New York City area, and western Long Island. So, I mean, I don't expect those storms to be severe, but I wouldn't be surprised if we did see a severe thunderstorm warning pop up in a few counties out here later today. But, you gotta watch out for some of those storms. And then here you go. You got your first initial line of damaging wind gusts. This is going to be our main kind of story for today, is this one line of damaging wind gusts that's going to stretch all the way from parts of northern Alabama all the way up into parts of Ohio and northern Pennsylvania. So it's going to be a huge area that's going to be included in this risk for damaging wind gusts. But here you go. First off, you're going to get that tornado throw. We have a 15% risk for tornadoes based off of the SPC already. So that tells you that the tornado threat is very, very high, or actually be a 10% risk. Excuse me. We got a 10% risk for tornadoes. Usually when you see that, when you see a 10% risk of tornadoes pop up on the SPC, that usually tells you that that day is going to have some sort of severe weather event that's pretty significant, and that's what we're dealing with today. And I really think that once you get these storms to really start firing off across parts of the Ohio Valley, I think that's when you're really going to start seeing the tornado threat ramp up. But you can see that already these storms, they look pretty tornadic. I would say that because they're discrete cells. You see, they're spaced out, and they've also got some curviness on them. So telling you that they've got rotation, they've got enough room to rotate. And they haven't formed that line, the squall line of damaging wind gusts just yet. So that means the tornado threat is going to be ongoing. And we look at what hour we would be at. We would probably be at around 6, 7, maybe 8 p.m. tonight. I don't know. This would be sometime in the afternoon or evening hours of today. You get that first-hand tornado threat. So we've got that going on, and I think that if you were going to get a tornado today, I think it would be somewhere in here. I think it would be probably anywhere of eastern Kentucky, maybe southern Ohio. I think these storms look the most dangerous to me, and even as far west as southwestern Indiana. I think you guys could even see a tornadic thunderstorm as well. But this entire region for today is going to have at least a small chance of seeing a rotating thunderstorm and then maybe even a tornado as we get throughout the rest of the day. Then once we get into those evening hours and eventually those overnight hours of today, that damaging wind gust line really starts to get going. You could already see that all these thunderstorms, they have come together, and now they're going to be just pushing and plowing through this area that is going to be that's going to be alert for destructive winds today. But every one of these storms is definitely going to be producing at least 35-mile-an-hour wind gusts. I think if you're going to, the strongest storms, I think one of these frontal storms right here, one of the storms on this frontal boundary is definitely going to be producing wind gusts at least 50 knots, which would be around 55 miles an hour. So you got to watch out for these storms. But these look very, very intense to me, and you may get this situation in some places like near Baltimore, D.C., where you get one line of storms that's going to run through. It's delivering a huge amount of wind damage, and then it's all of a sudden it's a little bit sunnier, and you're thinking like, oh, okay, that's the round of storms that they were talking about. But then behind it, look at this, you got two more developing lines of storms that's going to be pretty much the same strength and size as the first one, and that's what's going to be the story today. And then here you go, this is probably going to be when these storms are producing the strongest damaging wind gusts. You got the strongest storms moving through Maryland, moving through Northern Virginia. I think really up here in Maryland, you guys are going to get hit hard, especially Baltimore, D.C. I think both cities are going to get hit very, very hard. I think that's going to be a definite for today. So, this is probably, this is not good. This is not good. We already know it's not good, but the big thing though is that how many people are in the way of this. There are so many people in the way of this. There's major populated areas and cities just in the entire region out here, and that's why it's always a bad thing when you get these severe weather events and outbreaks in these, in the eastern U.S., just because there's so many highly populated areas out here that it's really dangerous because there's so many people that are in the way of literal dangerous thunderstorms. And so we'll continue throughout the night and throughout the day. We get into early tomorrow morning, and we still see this line of storms continue pushing their way through Maryland. Now this is going through Delaware, and you're still getting a pretty big swath of damaging wind gusts. And, we get this goes all the way out to the coastline, and it finally starts falling apart. And this is probably when things are going to calm down. But you see some more convection out here, more developing thunderstorms off to that same area that just got hit very, very, very hard around the middle of the night. And so we'll see if those can form. They don't really do anything. They're just regular showers and thunderstorms that will hang on to the rest of this system. But I would also think that maybe sometime 2 a.m. to 3 a.m., maybe even 4 a.m., you will get the second line of storms, the one that's going to be producing those damaging wind gusts to they're going to be rotating these lines of damaging wind gusts. They're going to be rotating around the center of the storm, which is going to be way up here north into parts of southern Canada. So that's going to be bringing these lines down so far into Tennessee and North Carolina, this area of the Mid-Atlantic, but then they start swinging back up again because it's a cycle. And that's why we're going to see more areas up here in the Northeast that are going to get hit by the same line of damaging wind gusts, except it's not going to be nearly as hard just because they're going to be dramatically weakened after they run through this region out here. But we'll get to tomorrow. We'll go through tomorrow and just see what we've got left over. Maybe some strong to severe storms left over out here in southern New England. I believe there is a marginal risk out there for tomorrow, but I don't expect any destructive storms. We do see though some pretty strong storms that could move through the Cape Cod area, so the Massachusetts coastline. This is definitely possible, and then behind it, you may get some leftover showers and thunderstorms, but that's going to be pretty much it. So we're going to be moving on to our wind gusts. Just going to be looking at which storms are really going to be producing those wind gusts and how strong they're going to be. So this map is it's pretty simple. It's just going to tell you, it's just going to show where the wind gusts are going to be and how strong they're going to be. And so I don't know if this is done loading yet. It's doing some crazy things. I'm hoping this will cooperate with me. So hold on to 1 second. I'm actually going to pause the video for a second, and I'm just going to try and get this to pull up. So 1 second, guys. So this is actually not working with me, so I greatly apologize about that. I'll do a separate video just after I finish filming this video, just based on the damaging wind gusts for today. So the problem with this is that it doesn't show the hourly forecast of wind gusts, so it only shows one frame. So we're just gonna look at what we've got right now. This is what we've got literally happening right now. It's looking like the wind gusts, they're getting ready. You can see this entire area in orange. These are wind gusts of at least 20 miles an hour. They're not considered damaging, but they are considered relatively strong. And you do have some storms these are definitely producing damaging wind gusts out here in Arkansas, northern Arkansas. Almost 50 miles an hour wind gusts out here. Just looks like this is just west of Memphis, Tennessee. So if you're anywhere north of Little Rock, mainly northeast of Little Rock, or just east of Fort Smith, I think you guys will probably be maybe in the way of one of these storms. But it appears that there's 3 storms currently that are producing wind gusts of at least 40 miles an hour. So we'll continue watching these. These are probably going to be kind of it's going to be the similar setup as these storms out here, where it's just, a bunch, like a huge area of many supercell or just regular thunderstorms that are going to be producing damaging wind gusts, and they're going to have that component of severe weather built into them. And you could see that even as far east as Charleston. This is just west of Charleston. You got wind gusts of almost 40 miles an hour. This is probably going to be part of a thunderstorm that's impacting right now. So you kind of get the idea of what's going to be happening, except it's not just going to be this huge area under it's not just going to be a one area under this pretty much the same amount of wind gusts as you see here. It's going to be many spread out, widespread thunderstorms that are going to be producing wind gusts that could range from 35, 40 miles an hour up into maybe 75, 80 miles an hour. That's going to be the picture for today. So for the last part of the update, we're going to be moving on to our SPC Outlook. And I have this little 4-panel here, just showing you guys kind of the 4 outlooks for today. We're going to start out with our categorical outlook, and you can see that we're up to a moderate risk. This is a level 4 out of 5 risk. This is usually when you start thinking about calling this an outbreak. For me, I'm just going to call this an outbreak, like many other forecasters are, just because of how many people are in the way of this. We need to get the word out, and we need people to expect the worst, just so that if it's not as bad as we're saying it could be, then it won't be as bad. But starting out, you could see that the heart of the region up here in the moderate risk is definitely going to be up here in the Delmarva area, specifically the DC, Baltimore area. Both cities are under that moderate risk for severe weather today. So that goes all the way up into parts of southern and southeastern Pennsylvania. So maybe this could get extended and include maybe areas as far northeast as Philadelphia, and then maybe even cut into parts of New Jersey. As far as where we are right now, this is what we've got going on. But this does go down into parts of Western Virginia, parts of Eastern West Virginia, and then it does include areas like Rocane. This does include DC, obviously, Baltimore, um, and not quite Richmond, not quite Charleston. But I think that it's still possible that you could get this could get updated and could get extended out towards you guys. It's just not where we are right now. Okay, that's where we are with our moderate risk. For our enhanced risk, our level 3 out of 5 risk, we have a very big area. This is including many cities and highly populated areas. This stretches all the way from northeastern Alabama all the way up into upstate New York. And so this includes areas like Huntsville, Alabama, Birmingham, Alabama, Atlanta, Georgia. You guys are in that enhanced risk. Columbia, South Carolina, Charlotte, Raleigh, Greensboro, North Carolina, Knoxville, Tennessee. You got Asheville, Tennessee, or actually Asheville, North Carolina. This includes North Fork, Virginia. It does not include New York City just yet. It does include Philadelphia at the moment, and does include Jackson. So that's going to be Jackson, Kentucky. And so for that slight risk, this is a level 2 out of 5 risk for today. This is pretty much just going to be those areas that you have a chance to see severe weather. It's not very high, but there is a decent chance for seeing severe weather today. It's pretty much just the surrounding areas of those major risks for severe weather, the enhanced and moderate risk. So for the slight risk, you've got Buffalo, New York. This would probably also include the I think this would include Scranton, and this doesn't include Syracuse. You guys are also in that, I believe. This does include New York City. You guys are right on the line of that slight risk. You've got North Fork, Virginia. Since not quite Cincinnati, but you're also on the line of that. Columbus, Ohio, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, down into Nashville, the Nashville area. I think you guys would pretty much be considered in that slight risk. Wilmington, North Carolina, Charleston, South Carolina, and Montgomery, Alabama. Those are the areas that are going to be under the slight risk for today. And for that marginal risk, the level 1 out of 5 risk for severe weather today, you've got all of Long Island out here, just east of New York City. You would be under that marginal risk for severe weather. Albany, New York. You got Burlington, Vermont. I think, yeah, I believe that would be Vermont. And you've got Hartford, Connecticut. Not quite Providence, Rhode Island, but you guys could definitely see a storm or two today. This does include Cleveland, Ohio. This does include you guys. And any area just west of Columbus. This does include Cincinnati, just west of Nashville, just west of Montgomery. There's so many cities out here that are in the way of this. That's why it's pretty scary. But yeah, that's going to be pretty much it for your category outlook. We roll over to our tornado outlook. This is probably going to be the secondary threat for today. Usually when you see a tornado threat as your second highest, that's not that's not good. That's telling you that there is a pretty good chance that you're going to see at least one tornado throughout the day. But you can see that we're up to a 10% risk. And we don't have a hatched area, luckily, which is good. That means that there's not a significant area, and there's not like a particular area that's in favor of having tornadoes. It's just this 10% risk. This is including Washington, D.C., Baltimore, Maryland, down into parts of Northern Virginia. This is including Charleston, West Virginia. Not quite Rocane, but if you're just west of Rocane, you're in this. You got Jackson, Kentucky, and just north of Knoxville, Tennessee. And and that's pretty much it for that 10% risk. So for that 5% risk for tornadoes, you have Philadelphia, PA. This goes all the way up into southern New York State. This does include just the extreme western portions of New Jersey. This includes areas of southwestern PA. This doesn't go into parts of extreme southern and southeastern Ohio, down into parts of Kentucky, down into parts of Tennessee. You can see eastern Tennessee, including Knoxville, Asheville, and Charlotte, North Carolina. All these little areas out here in the southeast. You guys will be under that 5% risk for tornadoes today. This does include also Greensboro, North Carolina, Richmond, Virginia, and that would be pretty much it. I don't know if I said Asheville, North Carolina. I think I did, but you guys are in that as well. That 2% risk. This is our lowest risk of the day for tornadoes. You have a huge area stretching all the way from northern Alabama up into extreme northern New York. So you don't have Buffalo. You guys are just outside of that 2% risk. You've got Nashville, Tennessee, Huntsville, Alabama, Birmingham, Alabama, Atlanta, Georgia, Columbia, South Carolina, Raleigh, North Carolina. You've got New York City. No, you guys are just outside of that as well. So areas just west of New York City would be considered in that 2 to 4% risk of tornadoes for today. Just west of Albany, Pittsburgh, and then I think I said Asheville, but you guys are. I think I said Nashville. I think you guys are in that as well. So that's going to be pretty much it for a tornado threat. It's relatively high, which is a scary thing, but as long as we can get through, the evening hours the afternoon and evening hours of today, and once we get to that damaging wind gust line, we should be done with the tornado threat. Not completely, but it should be pretty much pretty much over. So we look at our wind threat. This is our main threat for today. I'm telling you, this is really the most concerning part of the severe weather event. For just looking at this, you can tell that not only for me, but just for every forecaster and most forecasters, even at the SPC Storm Prediction Center, you have a very high threat for damaging wind gusts. But we are up to a 45 to 59% chance of seeing damaging wind gusts with a hatched risk. This is a very bad thing, and we also do have a huge area under that same risk. So this is not good. We're going to break this down. So this goes all the way from northern Georgia up into southeastern PA. So that does tell you though that there is still that damaging wind gust as far north as parts of southeastern PA. But this does include Baltimore, our nation's capital. For our hatch risk, this is a 10% or greater probability of significant wind gusts, which would be 45, 74 or higher miles an hour of wind. So that's scary. That is definitely that's enough wind to cause destruction. But you've got Rocane, Virginia. You've got Baltimore, Maryland, Washington D.C. You got pretty much Charleston. You guys are going to be on the line of that hatch stress, but you guys either way are in that 45 to 60% risk for damaging wind gusts. You've got Greensboro, Knoxville, Asheville, Tennessee. You got Greensboro, North Carolina, Raleigh, North Carolina, Charlotte, North Carolina. All of you guys are in that 45 to 60% risk. You've got Richmond, Virginia, Philadelphia. Philadelphia, you guys are just on that 30% risk line. I would say if you're just west or if you're in the western suburbs of Philadelphia, you're definitely included in that 45% risk. But yeah, I mean, it's just this entire swath of the Mid-Atlantic and the Southeast that's going to be under the gun for severe weather, including mainly destructive wind gusts. But this goes all the way into This goes all the way into northern South Carolina. Not quite Columbia, South Carolina, but it does also go into northern Georgia. So that's it for that 45% risk, including that hatch risk. Now we go to the 30% risk, which means it is not that this area in that 30% risk. Usually when you see a risk this high, that tells you that that's literally just for the outside area of that 45% risk. So that's telling you that there's almost it's pretty much, there's a very, in simple words, there's still a very high risk of seeing damaging wind gusts in that 30% risk area. And so you got North Fork, Virginia, you've got Raleigh, North Carolina, Columbia, South Carolina, you got Atlanta, Georgia, Birmingham, Alabama, Huntsville, Alabama, Jackson, Mississippi, half of Jackson, pretty much the same thing for Charleston, half Charleston. But it's this huge area that goes all the way up into southern New York State, including have the entire western half of New Jersey, and then on the eastern half, we get introduced to that 15% risk of damaging wind gusts. That goes all the way up into the New York State and Canadian borderline, and that goes all the way from the Albany area, Buffalo, down into Pittsburgh, the PA, Western PA, down into parts of Ohio, including Columbus, Ohio, Cincinnati, down into Nashville, Tennessee, Birmingham, Alabama, Montgomery, Alabama, Charleston, South Carolina, Wilmington, South Carolina, North Fork, South Carolina. This does include New York City. I would say this would just include the western part of New York City, and then on the eastern part of New York City, that getting into Long Island, we have that 5% risk for damaging wind gusts. That is including Burlington, Vermont, down into Albany, Hartford, Connecticut. You got Cleveland, and Dayton, Ohio, Cincinnati, Ohio, Nashville, Tennessee. You guys will pretty much be in that 5% and 15% risk, and that's pretty much it. So that's gonna be it for your wind gusts, your wind probabilities, and then for the last part of the update, we're just gonna be looking at our large hail outlook. This is probably pretty much the lowest risk that we have for today, but it's still relatively high. You got a 15% risk of seeing they would say severe hail or just large hail in general. This includes a little bit of a funky area. This goes all the way from southern PA down all the way into northern Alabama, and then this would, I think, include an area of extreme northeastern Mississippi. That's a pretty big area, but it is a fat area. You can see that it's including almost all of West Virginia. Got Baltimore, nation's capital, both in that, a lot of Maryland, down into the western parts of Virginia, western parts of North Carolina. Got the eastern half of Tennessee. You got the eastern half of Kentucky, and including major cities like Baltimore, D.C. You got Rocane, Virginia, Charleston, West Virginia. You got Knoxville, Tennessee, Asheville, North Carolina. Excuse me. And then you've also got looks like Greensboro. I think you guys would be on the line of that as well. So, just anyways, there's a lot of major cities in the way of this. That's just what I want you guys to know, and I just want you guys to know that it's not just that there's major cities in the way of this, it's that they're in the highest chance of seeing severe thunderstorms. That's the problem that we're dealing with today, and it's looking pretty likely that we're going to have an outbreak on our hands throughout today. So that's all I got for you guys. Thank you so much for coming to watch. We'll see you guys in the next video. So don't be scared, be prepared. I know it's kind of scary because we have such a huge risk for severe weather for such a highly populated area, but all you got to do is just make sure you are ready for whatever's going to happen. Make sure you are staying safe, paying attention to your National Weather Service alerts, and just make sure that you can stay safe in the best possible way. So thanks for coming to watch. We'll see you guys in the next video.